Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac.
This is Megan.
And it is on this bonus episode.
See, you always knock me for doing jingles.
This is our 10-year wedding anniversary episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're a little singy?
No,
it's jingly?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. We thought we put this episode out because it's mostly my idea because I was looking at like what day our anniversary was, and I was like, oh crap, it's a Thursday, and oh crap, we ain't got the money to do anything. So
this summer, let's just say this summer financially has not been the greatest, but that's okay.
I want to say that. I mean, everyone's fucking struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So we thought we'd put this episode out. And why a 10-year versus 11 or 9 is because what the 10, 25, and 50, right? Most people celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. If everything was going the way we wanted to go, we would have in some kind of, wedding renewal party or something like that.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line we will.
You're at 25?
25.
When I'm 40-something? No. Should I be 50? Anyway. No, we thought we'd put this episode out and talk about... I mean, granted, we in pieces throughout the entire podcast at the beginning of this podcast. We talked about things that happened to us in our early days of relationship, but never all accumulated into one. So we thought we'd talk about how we met.
Yep.
The paranormal stuff that happened to us when we were dating, and even the stuff that happened around our wedding.
Yeah, because...
And our honeymoon.
Yeah, because
yeah.
I feel kind of bad for him. And I think this is a good opportunity to also talk about, like, people that, like, for instance, say you're in a relationship where, like, you are sensitive to the paranormal, so you have stuff that regularly happens to you, but your significant other doesn't. And because for a long time, at the very beginning of our relationship, Isaac didn't have his abilities. So he was kind of looking at my paranormal experiences as more like a spectator, like a outside person, versus now where he's like part of it, so he knows.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember, wasn't there like a guy that you worked with or something? You were telling them the stories that happened throughout like us dating and stuff, and he was like, "I don't know why you didn't leave her yet."
Besides my brother.
Yeah.
I was telling him the stuff, the scary shit was happening. He seemed interested, but he was like, "How you?" I got one of my friends. I was telling that stuff to, and he was like, "How the hell are you even staying there?" It's like I was into paranormal. I mean, Well, let's go back to the beginning.
All
right. The whole reason, right? We even met in the first place was your dad.
Yes.
Right. Me and him started working together at a local grocery company called HEB. For anybody in Texas knows what the hell we're talking about. Everyone else is like, what?
Yeah.
You're going to laugh when you find out what the acronym is for. The acronym for HEB is the guy who owns the company who created it, Henry E. Butts.
Oh, he said butts.
Yeah, everyone fucking laughs about it. Anyway. No, I was an overnight stalker. I worked overnight. And we got a new, we call it, what's the...
Stock controller.
Stock controller?
Yeah, that's stock controller.
Doesn't sound right. Anyway, basically he was like an overnight manager. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy I was working with for a while now. His name was Robert. He was all saying, "Oh, this guy's an ex-Marine. Oh, he's gonna be a hard ass on you guys and stuff like that." I was like, "Oh, great." And I ended up meeting him. Nothing against Joe. He's like 5'8", 120 pounds maybe.
Yeah.
With like, no hair and like
he had hair then.
Well,
yeah, it was thinning, but he had hair.
And like nerd type glasses. I was like, this guy's a Marine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your dad always talked about you, right, to everyone, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah. And I remember I finally got to work with him one night, and we were talking. He was asking me what kind of music I like and stuff like that, because I was listening to music at the time. I was stocking shelves, and I was like metal and stuff like this. I was like, "Oh, like thing that my daughter I like, right?" And I was like, oh, "Okay." And he just kept talking and about you, and then like just like about hey this and stuff like that. So I finally asked him out straight. It was like, "Hey Joe, You want me to date your daughter or something? He goes, well, I don't know about dating. He's like trying to act all coy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they're giving me your number.
Yeah.
So we start messaging, and I did probably the coolest thing any guy could do to impress a chick on a first date. I invited you to one of my band's shows.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, we were good, right? We didn't, we didn't suck or something. Like some guys might go out there like, yeah, I'll invite you to my show, and they're like, dad, the kid, say,
Oh my god.
nothing against anybody who's starting out, but
No, let me tell you, I've been to a bunch of different shows, like different genres of like metal music. I would say the worst genre, if you're bad at, like if you're not a cohesive band or you're bad at, the worst is punk music. I remember we were listening to local punk bands at one point, and one of them it was not clicking. And
it's
it was
very
god
easy.
awful. It was god awful.
It's not a hard genre to get, it's a hard genre to be bad at. Let's say that. But I remember it because we played countless shows, the bands I was part of. Saturday Night Massacre and Aurorian. Even with my brother was selling somewhere for a few gigs and stuff like that. That was a San Antonio scene back in old 2009, 2010. Yeah. But yeah, so we invited to a show, and then I think we were on a first date, and then afterwards asked you to be my girlfriend. And
Yeah.
we started dating from then on.
Oh my gosh.
But what was interesting is that the same nights I took you out was your sister's birthday party, right? Mm-hmm. And she had all her friends over. And whenever I dropped you off, right, your mom talked my ear off for like 2 hours.
Well, okay, let me give you a premise. So before I started dating Isaac, I had like little straggler boyfriends, and they were god awful. Like god awful. Like, to be honest, I would have been better off just not dating. And so I didn't date for a while, and my parents were actually worried at the fact that like I wasn't dating anybody. And because at that point I had like just given up. I was like, no, I'm not, because majority of the relationships I was like cheated on, or there was like, I was not the one for these people. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on myself. And then I kind of I'll be honest, I kind of got in like a pretty depressive state. Like I didn't have any direction. I didn't know which way to go. And that's actually when I first heard my spirit guides, because I remember one time I was really, really upset at the fact of like I had no friends. Because that's another thing that was extremely hard for me to keep. I was like, I'm nice to everybody. I don't understand what the problem is. And so I remember my guides were basically like, hold on. And, yeah, sure enough, like,
you told me that your dad came in and was like, oh, I got this guy. Oh, this guy at work.
Well, no, because that was the thing, is I always was like, because I dated every different type of guy other than a metalhead.
Metal.
Yeah. And I remember my dad saying, like, why don't you date like a guy that's like metal or something? He'll like the same stuff as you. And
you had long hair back then, too.
I was like, well, you know what? You get what comes to you sometimes. And metal guys, for whatever reason, did not go to me. And so, yeah, it ended up working out because now I'm married to Isaac.
Yeah.
But
we're not going to skip over the whole story.
Sorry. I had to give my like background. And there was actually one time, and I'll talk about like coincidences. This actually goes into play. So it was years and years before. I think I was all the way back in like middle school. It had to be middle school. I had come to North Carolina for like vacation in the summer. No, it was during summertime, something like that, where like I would go to church with my grandmother. And the one thing I did not like about the Catholic Church was confession. I did not like it. I felt extremely uncomfortable doing it. But my grandma was very much for confession. So I ended up going one summer. And I didn't know what to say. Like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess I I don't know, like disrespected my mom or something like that. And so before I left, he basically said, which is a weird question for a priest to ask, like, do you have like a boyfriend? Do you, like, you know, especially being that young? I was like, no, like, you know. And so he goes, well, you should hold out for someone that's like Abraham's son. And then he just basically told me to walk out. And Abraham's son's name is
Isaac.
And I still to this day freak out over that, because I was like, when I walked out, I was like, I don't know an Isaac. I have no clue who an Isaac is. I don't even know where. And so every year I kind of waited in my classes and stuff like that all the way till I graduated high school for somebody to come into my life with the name Isaac. And then sure enough.
Yeah, but your dad was like, you told me that he came in that house that morning, because we work overnight, right?
Yeah.
And you were just waking up. You still living with your parents at the time. Yeah. And they were like, he was like walking the house, like, oh, I got a number for you. Oh, I got
my
this
gosh.
guy.
And I was like, Dad, why
I gave
are you
your
getting
number.
Involved?
Yeah.
And because I was like, do not, because I was not, like, nobody wants their parents to, like, pick out a dude for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or significant other of any sort. So I was like, oh God, what is this?
And do you want to tell them how nervous you were on our first date?
Oh my gosh, forget it. Like, well, that's the thing. And this is where past lives and stuff come into play, because I was always a nervous person. I just literally, just from past trauma with like school and high school and stuff like that, I was severely bullied. So anything too with my outward appearance, like somebody possibly judging me for my outward appearance, I would get into like almost like panic attacks. And I was so nervous. But when I saw Isaac, and it sounds so corny, but it's such a great way to explain, like, if you believe in past lives, like saying that you were in a past life with somebody. Because when I saw Isaac, it was like, I hate to say it because it sounds so dang corny, but like fireworks and like, what?
I say we probably should give a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. If you don't like gooiness and shit like that.
Ew, don't say like that. You mean like corn. I don't know. I don't like gooiness. That just sounds weird. Certain words make me uncomfortable. Moist is one of them and gooey's the other one. Sorry. Anyways, but
you saw me, but I never saw you until the date. You know why?
Yeah.
Because you took all your pictures off Facebook.
God. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding when I said that I would get like panic attacks of somebody judging me on my outward appearance because of being severely bullied in the past. Like severely, not like just like, oh, a little kid made fun of me when I was a kid. No, it was severe. And
yeah, this was the age before Instagram was even that popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so I had to go to Facebook to find anything.
Yeah. So as soon as my dad basically said, like, I give this guy your number and your Facebook and all that stuff, I was like, nah, he's not going to see me. And so I took all of the photos down. I had like maybe a good 10 of like different like selfies or whatever, and like old photos and stuff. And I just took them all down. I was like, he's going to get that silhouette of a person. He's not going to see anything. But I saw him. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I'm not embarrassed by my looks.
Well, it's not that trauma based. I mean, I'm not so much now, but like before, I mean, it was it was bad. It's bad. I would go into anybody that's like that. I feel you, because yeah.
Which, here's another part about destiny and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw you, right? Granted, your mom saw me, but your dad didn't, because your dad was looking at you. Your mom was looking at me, and your mom told me that like maybe 10 years ago now. No, because we were married 10 years. No, yeah, it was about nine, about a year after we were married, something like that. She was telling me that she said she saw my face when I first saw you. I was like, good, right? Which I was pleasantly surprised, because I mean, for your voice, for some reason, hearing you, because we talked on the phone before we met, and, like I expected like a blonde. I don't know why.
Well, okay, let's just be frank.
It's not because you sounded ditzy and dumb.
No.
It just you sounded very like I don't know.
No,
for some reason you
dorky.
sounded
Dorky. No, let's just be real. I'm a dorky person. I'm awkward. It's just me. And so I would joke a lot. Once I got comfortable, I would joke a lot with Isaac on the phone very early on. And so
asked if I like Slayer. I'm like, why do you like Slayer?
No, because my mom is like, he probably won't know any of the bands that you're talking about. And I'm like,
I know I'm older than you, but not that much.
Yeah. I don't know. But
no, because I was saying you told me that you were so nervous that you were thinking about making excuses not to go.
Yeah, I was thinking of everything under the sun to not go. And I was, because literally
your mom was doing your makeup too.
Oh my god. Let me tell you, I would get, and this is just the level 2 of, this is another reason why, these stories are important, is because my abilities were out of freaking whack, and I did not know how to control them, and it manifested into a bunch of different anxieties, panic attacks, and everything else. And I knew something was coming before I met you. I knew like you were someone special, but I was so nervous that it wasn't going to work out, and it was going against what I was feeling. And then too, just absorbing everything of the moment. I was just, yeah. To the point I fell too. Remember, I just totally laid out in the living room too. By accident. Oh my gosh, it was a mess.
Well, you're wearing heel boots.
Yeah.
So.
No, but what I was going to say, I totally skipped over what I was going to say, but I would get so panicky that I would literally get like a nervous stomach and have to throw up. Like, it was bad. So I was absolutely terrified. Oh my God, what if I throw up on this guy? Or worse, where I gotta sneak off to the bathroom and call my mom to pick me up because
I remember what I was wearing too.
Yeah.
I had a Treyu shirt.
Yeah.
I had long hair and I was wearing a beanie then. Yeah.
Oh my God, I will never forget. This is a side thing. When he had long hair, I remember we went into like that, what was it, like a Taco Bell and something else? Like it was a Taco Bell and something else. And and this guy goes, "Oh man, you look like Dave Navarro."
Yeah, the cashier. Oh, dude, you look like Dave Navarro, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so funny. I think I laughed. I laughed so hard at that.
Because I had a goatee and I had long hair and I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. But no, what I was saying about Destiny and stuff like that. Up until I think the 4 year, because I was single for like 5 years, right? But then working overnight, you can't really meet anybody, right? Yeah. But I would have dreams, right, of a specific girl, and I would see her every now and then, right? Never see her face directly, but see side view, maybe behind, right? I would always get the idea of it. After I got you in the car, we were talking for a little bit, and I remember I was trying to get a conversation out of you.
I was nervous. I was trying not to throw up and have an accident.
I was a talker in that first hour of dating. I had a realization in the back of my head. You look like the girl from my dreams.
Aww.
And always, I know people say that, right? I said, "Oh, the girl from my dreams, the guy from my dreams." Right? No. I literally had premonition dreams of you. Granted, the situations that we were in the dreams never happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
No, never happened in real life. I'm trying to think of any situation, but no. And after that, I was like, I know I wanted to date you and stuff like that. So after that, we just started dating, and I think we were dating for a year and a half before I asked. Yeah.
Oh, to marry you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I had a plan in my head.
Oh my God. Do you want to talk? Okay, so I finally got like the nervous part. By then, I was like out of the nerves and stuff like that. Like at the very beginning, I wouldn't eat in front of Isaac because then it would make me sick because I would get so nervous, and then it was a whole mess.
Yeah, you ate like a damn bird, like, wasting money, buying you dinner. All you do is peck at it.
I would always be like, oh, to go. Well, I still kind of do that, but oh, can I get a to go box? And then I would like
Scarf it on the way down.
Yeah,
on the way home.
Yeah, because I felt better. But I knew something was up. I knew something was up because I was like, why does he want to go to Walmart and Olive Garden and all of these random stuff? And the whole time he was playing like sentimental, like love songs.
They were rock love songs, right?
Yeah.
They were ballads.
The whole time, and I was like, oh, okay. Something's up. And obviously, like, I didn't know what, but I knew, like, something was up.
Well, no, because I had it played in my head. Originally, I would ask you the same way, or I had the thought, like, I would be a vocalist of a metal band, and I'd bring you on stage and ask you there, like, during the show.
See?
That was the original idea. But, yeah, situations didn't apply to it. So, and no one wanted to see the bass player ask his girlfriend out to marry him. So I kind of threw that out the window, and then I just like, well, I ask her underneath moonlight.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I'm glad he did that because I am not the person like to get asked at a restaurant or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I am so glad. When you said you were thinking about that, you were trying to find the right, I was like, oh, thank God. I would have been as red as a freaking lobster. I just don't like, and it's funny that, like, I don't know. I just, now I'm okay with it. But like before, I just did not like attention on me whatsoever. I did not like the eyes on, like the literal term eyes on me. I did not like that. And so I was extremely glad that it was like literally on our front porch. And I could feel you shaking because you grabbed my hand. I could feel you shaking. And
I mean, I knew you would say yes, but I was still nervous.
Yeah, I think every guy is, though. Because, I mean, that's like the worst case scenario. It's like a 50-50 shot. Worst case scenario, she says no and you're embarrassed. And then yes, and so.
Yeah. All right, so before we get to the nuptials and stuff like that, I thought we Tarantino it and go back to the beginning, right? When I was talking about, because if you're listening going, why is there no structure? There is no structure because we're just free balling it here.
Yeah, no notes.
I would say that the funny thing is when your mom talked my ear off at 2 hours after I dropped you off, right? Ghost Adventures was playing in the background because your sister's birthday party, her and her friends, right, all high school girls, were watching Ghost Adventures, whatever they're doing, right? And I was like, oh, Ghost Adventures is on, right? And your mom said something like, oh, I don't really get into that stuff anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, actually, I'm a big fan of the paranormal. I watch Ghost Adventures all the time, right? And I said, my ranch is kind of haunted too.
And that too is crazy because literally my dad would make fun of me because I would literally watch, because anybody that knows and me talk about like different periods of time, especially when I was younger, I was consistently up at night. Like I would pretty much switch my schedule. And Ghost Adventures, Paranormal State, even that Chip Coffee show. What is that? Is it Chip Coffee or Chip Crumbly? No,
Coffee.
I think coffee. I don't.
Crumbles, what you have for the coffee?
I don't know why I got Chip Crumbly. Okay. That sounds like a cool name. I'm not gonna lie. Chip
Crumbly.
Yeah. Anyways, but his like Psychic Kids show and all of that, like all of those shows, I would watch non-stop, and I just think it's hilarious that now that's the field that we're in.
Yes, but then that laid the groundwork for future events and all our time dating. Now, I worked overnight, and you were, of course, awake during the day. So, finding time for us to be together was relatively hard and difficult. So, I would come over to your place, basically spend a night where you basically just I was awake at night while you were asleep.
Yeah.
Right? So that happened a lot, right? Or you would stay awake as long as you can, but you get tired and fall asleep. So, and so a lot of the times I was just stuck on your bed while you were asleep, right? That or we're in your living room on that couch.
Yeah.
Couch chair thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was watching TV while you were asleep, right? But that's when all the spooky shit started happening. Now, you kind of told me a little bit about paranormal stuff around your house and stuff like that. I think we were talking in one of our conversations before I started spending the night over and stuff. But no, I was not prepared. I remember the first times we were laying on your bed, you were asleep, and I was watching something on your TV, and your TV is right on your dresser.
Yeah.
To the left of the dresser and the TV is your closet door. And me watching something, I see the closet door knob rattle, as if someone's inside trying to open it. I looked at it. I was like, did I see what I saw? I don't know. Went back and I see it click and open. I look at it. All right, frozen in bed, like waiting for something to happen. I look at you, like, do I wake you up or not? All right, and then nothing happens. And so I was like, the whole rest of the night, I was like watching the door, watching it, because it only opened a little bit. I was waiting for like a hand to come out and like, like, ooh, look at me, something like that.
Yeah.
But no, nothing ever did. Right? I remember I shined my flashlight on the door, and I'm like, okay, for my phone, and nothing was there. One of the times I think we were talking, I was sitting on your bed, we were talking, and something grabbed my ankle from underneath the bed, and I was like, hey, what the hell was that? Me thinking it was like your little sister, Gwen, she was tiny at the time.
Yeah.
Underneath the bed trying to scare me. I look underneath the bed, nothing's there, and you're like, what?
This is also the house where years prior, my mom's friends' kids, one of them is like super young. She would look under my other sister's bed and said that she saw a Waha face. And when I asked her older sister, well, what's a Waha face? She was like, oh, it's like a dead person, like The Ring. So,
yeah.
So.
Now, one of the times, I think we were in the living room this time, right? And where we were laying on the chair couch thing, I could see down the hall to your bedroom. So, down your hallway bed, your door's open, lights are off because no one's in there, right? I think I was watching something on the TV, and I see like a head, like my peripheral vision. I see like a head poke out. I'm like, is someone in your fucking room? I look down the hall, and I see this head of a girl pop out. I can see her hair come down like swooping, like it's hanging down, and her flash back real quick. I go, what the fuck, right? I think I got up and went to your room. I was looking around like, who the hell was in here? Like, because where she was made no sense because you had another dresser there as well. So someone would literally have to be sitting on top of your dresser. What was that?
The scream? Did you hear that or no?
Yeah. All right, we just heard a scream from outside.
That's like a girl scream.
Yeah. Oh well. Moving on.
Oh. It could have been one of the neighbor's kids, but it's like 9, 10 anyways.
Anyway. So she would have to be sitting on top of the dresser, like peeking over. But the way she was peered through looked like she was standing. So it didn't make any sense of how I saw it. You still concerned about that scream outside?
Because I heard it like in my ear. That's what's concerning me.
And I heard it and I have headphones on.
Did you hear that again?
No.
Let's continue on.
Anyway. Of course some spooky would happen on our anniversary. It's us.
Yeah.
But then things didn't get really, really like paranormal until we moved. I think I was living with you and your parents because we couldn't afford our own place at the time.
Yeah.
Until we moved into that house in Spring Branch.
Well, that was because not because we couldn't afford it, but because my mom had bad feelings too at Spring Branch. She basically didn't want us to move because remember my dad was going over the road as a truck driver.
Yeah. And
she didn't want us to move. And then somewhere down the line, we ended up not having the money to move, so it kind of worked out anyways. But that was the.
But that's when all the scary stuff happened. From me being scratched in the back. Sleep paralysis,
demonic thing in
the demon thing in the damn corner of the bedroom, which we probably talked about 100 times already. Mm-hmm. The banging on your mirror from on your door, the closet door, right?
Yeah, always with the closet. Yeah. Always with the closet, I swear.
But Yeah, a lot of spooky stuff. And I remember you were concerned in our early times of dating that I would leave because all the scary stuff, right? And I said, no, you're dating the right guy. I'm into this
Oh
paranormal
my
stuff.
god.
I wanted to figure out why.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the things that we talked about is that you always said that every house you ever lived in, it was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tried to figure out why you were being followed. And then we found out the term sensitive, right?
Yeah, because you were the one that basically told me that there was something more.
Yeah.
That it wasn't just like, oh, I've had paranormal experiences. You were like, nah, this is more.
My ghosts from my ranch haven't followed me around. All your ghosts have been following you around. And we figured out there was 5. Which is funny is that we never see those 5 ever again. Ever since you got more into your abilities, it's like they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know one of them in particular. Well, no, one of the mushroom hair kid, the one with the head in the back, the bashed in head that I had seen a lot when I saw the Hat Man. That was actually a dark attachment because when I first dove into my abilities, the psychic that was helping me, right? Remember Mariah?
Mm-hmm.
Psychic that was helping me, she went to the psychic and told her, you're going to get Megan injured extremely bad. You're going to get Megan in big trouble. She's going to end up, like harmed. She's going to, like all of this crazy stuff. Like she's going to end up in the hospital. Stop telling her to do her abilities. Stop helping her. And sure enough, yeah, it was a dark attachment.
I think one of the most profound things, hearing spirits is a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. Right? Anyone who's ever heard a voice, like we just heard talking 5 minutes ago, or something distinctive, clear, right? Mm-hmm. Right in your ear, right? Or right in your premise where you can hear it clearly. 2 times, I remember specifically. Once was in the first house you lived in where you first met was in San Antonio. I think we were watching Underworld 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, because you were constantly going after me about how I didn't watch these iconic movies.
Yeah, how can you be into metal and goth stuff and the horror thing and not seen Underworld? At least the first 2, 3.
Yeah,
the third one was out by that time. I had them all on Blu-ray at the time. And I remember we were watching the first one. And the second one, I didn't get to finish watching with you because I had to go pick up my brother from work and take him home. And when I came back to the house, I came into the living room. You weren't there watching the movie that I told you to watch while I was gone.
Yeah.
Anyway, you come down the hall and you were saying that you were hearing someone call your name from your bedroom, right? And as you're saying this, I hear clearly from down the hall, Megan, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, who the fuck was that, right? I think maybe your sister or something. No, we went to the bedroom. No one was there, right? So you were getting like spooky ghost stuff way back when, right? More than 10 years ago because we've been together for 13. Yeah. And just that in a level of paranormal stuff. But the other time was in the Spring Branch house when I was laying on the crappy love seat that we had. Yeah. In the entertainment room, which is a team with TV in it. And I hear clearly in my ear something call my name. A young girl say, Isaac. Right? Right in my ear. And I go, what the hell? I think it maybe was your sister. But again, there's no way anyone could get into this room because there's only one door in. And I would clearly see someone come in. But the second I heard it, I got up and I looked behind me, and no one is fast enough to get out from underneath the love seat, run behind it, or at least get around me so they can't see it. So, no, that was like distinctly, and it was so clear. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I mean, still to this day, I hear all the time my name being called. I'm always asking, hey, did you call my name? No. Hey, Grandma, did you call my name? No. So, it's, but I would hear it a lot as a kid, and it would, as a kid, and then, getting older or whatever, it was always like like, when something lures you? Now it's kind of like, hey, whatever it is wants to get my attention. Back then it was like something was trying to lure me. I remember one time, it was a memory that came back to me a couple months ago or whatever. I remember there was one particular house that we lived in that I was constantly, my mom, she told me this, would find me in the closet the next day. Like she would put me to bed and find me in the closet the next day.
Maybe he was trying to lure you into a portal.
I don't know, but that's why, like, when Killian, when he was a kid, when our son was little, and he would go in that closet and hide, remember?
Mm.
Whew, that used to send... I just remembered it, but I remember that in particular, when Killian would do that, would freak me out. So I must have... Because it's also that scene... Well, Sixth Sense in general always freaked me the F out. But the specific scene where he gets locked in the attic space and he's banging out, you know, he's banging to get out, let me out, the kids lock him in there. That is terrifying to me. And so terrifying that when my parents, because my parents literally moved around all the time, whenever there was a, you know, those little doors to the air duct or attic or whatever it is, those little doors that are on the wall, not up in the ceiling, but on the wall.
Yeah.
I would tell them an absolute no. I will literally kick and scream. I am not going to live in a house with that. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I always had issues with closets to the point I would put books up against the closet to keep it from opening in multiple different houses.
Yes. Now, a lot of paranormal stuff in between then and now. We've talked about it in multiple episodes. But on our wedding day, particularly me, not so much paranormal stuff happened to me, but you had something scary happen to you.
Oh, yeah. So, just newsflash.
Or the day before our wedding, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, no, I had a couple things when I came to think about it. So, it was a lot of chaos. Well, I mean, weddings are chaotic as it is, but it was a lot of chaos. So, a couple days before the wedding, I think I've talked about this in a couple episodes, but basically our wedding cake decorator quit. And so I was like, well, I like baking, so I'm going to wing it. I'll make my own wedding cake. I don't care. So my mom was like, I'll buy you all the high-end stuff, because we were paying for our wedding ourselves. And she was like, I'll buy you all the high-end stuff and I'll help you make the cake. And I was like, cool, you know. And so we went one night to go to HEB. And it was like 15 minutes away. We did kind of live pretty like in a remote spot, and there wasn't much going in between. But I remember I got this horrible, horrible feeling. And I remember telling my mom to stop. I think there's a body over there. And she was like, "What, a body? What are you talking about?" And she got that same feeling, because I know that look in her face when something's wrong spiritually or like whatever. And so we kept going, because she's like, I don't see anything. What are you talking about? And I was like, Mom, it's like by that field, there's a body. And so we kept going, right? And we went and we were in HEB for like an hour and a half, like getting all the baking stuff, because we had to run through recipes. And on the way back, I see almost like a ghost figure walking, right? Like a ghost figure walking. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, there is something wrong on this road. And so as we're coming back, we see a bunch of ambulances and like fire people and ambulance. And so she was like, well, maybe there was a wreck here that you were just envisioning or whatever. And sure enough, a kid that went to school with my sister was killed walking home on that road. And what I saw the kid wearing down the road was the same as what he was wearing there. His body was literally there. He got hit. And it was more of a premonition than me actually seeing it, because the timeline didn't match up from when he got hit. It was like probably like 15-20 minutes after we had passed that area. So he wasn't like hit yet. But there was that, and that was like super traumatic. And then so we wanted the whole I don't know. I wanted the whole effect of like getting ready, like a hotel kind of situation. So we ended up going to your friend's hotel that his family owned. And it was in Blanco. And I don't know if it's a curse. I don't know what it is. I don't know what is with me in hotels, motels, anything. There is always bad stuff that happens to me or happens around me at hotels. And so we were at this motel, and it was pretty late, and we pull up and we're like loading everything. Me and one of my bridesmaids and my sister are loading everything into the hotel, like to get ready for the next day. And this fight breaks out between these guys. Like they're arguing, like it seems bad. And so to the point where my friend was like, my bridesmaid was like, I don't want to stay here, Megan. I don't want to stay here. And I'm like, look, it'll be cool. And, of course, they see a bunch of women and girls going into a hotel room. So they direct their attention to us. It's like, don't worry about it. We'll be fine. So we go in, and sure enough, the entire night they were fighting, saying the weirdest stuff. I think Mike got called out there how many times? A lot, right? Not Mike that we know now, but a Mike from back then.
We always know a Mike.
Yeah, there's always a Mike. But I remember he went out there so many times to be like, hey, stop it. And it was just constant. And even hotels that we've stayed at, like traveling and stuff like that, there's always a fight. There was like a full-on brawl one time outside of a Holiday Inn in like someplace in like, what is it, Louisiana, Georgia, something like that.
Alabama.
Yeah. And
no, we learned our lesson. We were because every single time we've got a hotel room where the door is technically leads up to the outside, something always bad happens. So we'll spend extra money and get a hotel room that's in an actual building where the door does not lead to outside.
Yeah, because like during that thing, I was freaking terrified because Isaac goes in to like get the room or whatever. I'm out there in the car, and it was one time we were traveling back and forth to Texas and North Carolina, and sure enough, you're nowhere to be found. You're inside, and this brawl starts like close to where like the cops were called. It was a whole mess. So, anybody that's listening that ever maybe like
don't go to motels. Don't go to motels. But that I guess that was a situation of our wedding day. Nothing really happened to me. And the wedding went fine and stuff like that. I remember we in hindsight we probably just had an issue in one area instead of two different venues. We could probably had just one venue. Yeah, so save your money, kids.
Yeah. Well, we had a weird situation where a lot of people RSVP'd and never showed up.
Yeah.
Which that's shitty on their part.
Yeah. We don't talk to them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But on our honeymoon, we decided to go to your town.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep.
Where we live now.
Yes.
Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Yeah. So.
It's not a honeymoon, destination, but we basically got to go to a beach house for 2 nights?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you had never seen where I was from, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, obviously my grandmother had a house here, so we were able to stay for technically free. And then, you have the beach here. You have a bunch of different little towns that were pretty cool. So, yeah, we actually we went on a ghost walk.
That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
That was what happened to one of our only paranormal things. Well, several things on our honeymoon that happened.
Also, there was a fight outside of that hotel that we stayed at when we were on our honeymoon.
Yeah. We went on a ghost walk in Wilmington because I wanted to see Wilmington. I know it's a famous city. It's an old city, one of the oldest cities in North Carolina and stuff like that. Plus, I just wanted to see it because that was the biggest place next to Jacksonville. And we decided to spend the night there. That's what the whole fight breaking outside the motel. No motels.
No.
I don't care. I got to pay extra money. Anyway, but we went on a ghost walk that evening, right? And I still wish I had my abilities now I had back then. Anyway, but we had this ghost walk. The guy was giving a tour and stuff like that. And the most intense thing happened to you at one of the spots.
Yes. So one of the spots they go to is they bring you to this graveyard. And the guy is telling a story, and I start feeling like something is sitting on my chest. Like I can't breathe. Like I literally turned to Isaac and I was like, I was fine. I don't know what's going on. I can't breathe at all. And I was like, something's not right. Something's not right. I feel like suffocated. And I know what this feeling feels like. I feel suffocated to the point where we were going to have to get off the tour. And I was thinking something was seriously wrong. I need to go to a hospital. And so I'm in and out of kind of like telling Isaac, like, I don't feel good. And he's like, well, like, let's just see maybe. And we kind of get away from the group a little bit. And then he finishes telling the story, the guy. And he says, oh, yeah, the story behind this graveyard is one of the guys that are buried here was buried alive. And they thought he was dead, but he wasn't. And they buried him. And he literally had nail marks on his coffin.
Yeah.
From trying to get out. That was the first time ever that, like, I was like, okay, maybe there is something more with the sensitive thing.
Yeah, and because I remember I turned to you, you looked at me like your eyes were wide and like you were like you couldn't like open your mouth. What's wrong? You're like there's nothing. You know, like what? There's nothing. And then we finally get away, and you were talking about how you couldn't breathe around there. I was like, and I said, were you feeling the ghosts like when he was dying? Right?
Yeah.
And all the other haunted spots, nothing. That was the only one.
And that's the thing that's interesting about that in particular, because that's kind of like where because my ability strayed kind of a little bit from that. Like recently, it's like other things, obviously like remote viewing and stuff like that has been a major focus. But like it's starting to, I don't show it, especially when we videotape or we do like lives, but literally how somebody dies will channel through me sometimes. And I stop it because I don't, obviously, like there was one time we were with, during the Halloween episode, that we were with Taylor and all of, when we had more people than just us on the investigation.
Yeah.
And I felt this girl channel through me, and it was like I was kind of like blacked out for a second, and I was about to basically do what she did when she died, and I had to stop it. I had to stop the connection right there because she screamed. So like I didn't want to be like, ah! Like, you know, like, and scare the crap out of everybody. Yeah. And there's been a few times where I've had people channel through me, and I'm saying like the crying doesn't even sound like how I would cry. The talking doesn't sound like how I would talk. So it's like they're literally channeling through. And that was like the first time I ever experienced that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's coming back now to a point where how I was able to kind of like stop it. It's not as easy as it was before. So.
And so we've been married 10 years.
Yeah.
And only 3 of those years you've had our abilities, well, you've always had yours. Mm-hmm. I just had mine for the last 3 years, but you have finally tuned yours up to the point where it is now.
Yeah.
In the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, nothing. Granted, we had spooky stuff happen here at this house to us all the time.
Oh yeah.
Especially
when I was pregnant. That was a big thing. I don't know if anybody's ever like said that experience wise, but like I felt like literally when I was pregnant, it was like the dial got turned up on everything. And
I almost forgot the other spooky thing that kind of happened to me. First paranormal experience I had in this house. Mm-hmm. I was laying on the couch in the den, and I think I was taking a nap. I think you and your grandmother went to like the store or something.
Yeah.
And I remember halfway opening my eyes, and I think I was getting readjusted or something, and then I see in my peripheral vision somebody standing in the den, like over by the entryway that you would basically like 2 steps and then you go back in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Someone was standing right there to a point where I look and like I thought that you guys were home, and I looked, there's nothing there, but I could see it clearly in my peripheral vision. I was like, what? And I didn't see anything there. I was like, oh, what the fuck? And I think I told about you when you guys got back from the store.
And that's the thing, and I think I've talked about this before, but this actual house, back in early 90s? No. Yeah, early 90s, my grandma actually had to get it blessed because she had seen a hooded, almost like a death figure, walking in and out of the rooms. And funny enough, the podcast room is the room where she saw it walking out of. So, but obviously and I've talked about this on many episodes, that was before we did, well, my grandma never, I mean, she put like crucifixes and stuff like that up, but protection wise, never really did anything. And then, like, I never knew anything about really protection. I didn't know anything about crystals, none of that, until I started doing the podcast and I started getting like different people that I could ask questions for, and different teachers and stuff like that. That helped me along the way. But that's why it's a lot more controlled now.
But now, 10 years of us being married, we are farther deep into the paranormal than we ever suspected we were in the beginning. Granted, it wasn't our main focus when we first met. Music was, and then you wanted to do movies and film and stuff like that. But paranormal was something that was in the background. It was something we lived with. It was never something that we put a lot of effort into. It was only until we started this podcast that we decided to put more effort into it. And now we've never looked back. Why?
Yeah.
Because now we can't look back. We've opened the door too wide to the other side, and now there's no turning back. But you were saying, about what I wanted to talk about relationship-wise, stuff with us and our anniversary and how we met and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But you were saying that you wanted to give advice to people who are dating.
Yeah, because I feel like just from,
in the paranormal.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a lot of husband and wife duos that paranormal investigate, but then there's also some, and I know that just from talking to people and getting experiences and stuff like that, that sometimes it's harder when like the other significant other doesn't believe in the paranormal, doesn't want anything to do with it, that kind of thing. And so I don't know. I thought we would give some advice to those people and then give some advice that maybe the significant other is more accepting of it and stuff like that.
It goes to a lot of things. I mean, if you guys aren't into the same thing, it's always going to be a rift, especially if your person doesn't like the other thing. If you're passionate about knitting, right, and the other person hates it, it's gonna cause a divide. And some people overlook it and say, "Oh, they'll get over it," or something like that. But when it comes to something you're passionate about, like say people who are passionate about the paranormal, your significant other needs to, but it goes with anything. If you're passionate about something, your true person you're meant to be with is not going to belittle you or tell you to forget about it in order to stay with them. They're actually going to encourage you to pursue it more, right? It's like giving up a dream, right? You should never give up your dream for someone else. They should encourage you to live it out. And if it doesn't succeed, hey, you tried.
Yeah.
But with us and the paranormal, right, it was destined almost. Or we always say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I could easily say, yeah, it was.
But I was with you even still with the paranormal in the background because I was fascinated by it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have my ability then. Right.
And that's the one thing I have to say about Isaac is even when he didn't have his ability, he was extremely supportive, because I was the one that was more like, oh, I know this stuff is happening, but whatever, you know. He was the one that actually pushed me more to open up my abilities. Even when we started the podcast, he was the one that was like, tell your story. It's going to resonate with people. People are going to want to know. And stuff like that. And he was the one that actually got me to open up about everything. And he's a big part of kind of like where I am right now, because if I didn't have that support, I would have still been in that little like shell of, and I feel like when you're in that shell and you can't, especially if you have abilities, it's hard because, you know, you almost have fear or shame or guilt behind it, especially if the other person doesn't see it as a gift, or, you know,
and you get targeted for oppression and you have to call us.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's hard. And two, like for instance, if you're somebody with abilities and you're wanting protection or you have an attachment and you want help, but the other person, your other significant other, is like, nah, this doesn't exist. Nah, no, you don't need that help. You're just a little depressed. You know, that doesn't help you out either.
Until a table flips over.
Yeah,
that was nothing.
And that's the thing. Sometimes it takes like a big thing, like something like that, for the person to, you know.
You get the horror movie dad trope from.
Yeah. And I think too, like, you have to figure out too if it's just maybe like you have a dark attachment and it's a one and go, like it's gone, or if it's something that you have an ability with and you're going to be living with or choose to live with, and that's not talked about with a significant other. Like, if the significant other is totally like, yo, I don't want none of that stuff, but then you have abilities and you can't help it and you're trying to protect yourself. Say they're against like saging and crystals and stuff like that. They think it's witchcraft, whatever. But you need some of that stuff to kind of like cleanse yourself. It puts you in a funky spot. So that's kind of my thing on it.
Well, just like anything else that you put your faith into, right? Mm-hmm. And someone else you're with or is supposed to be like your significant other, your loved one, and stuff like that, and they just kind of like, no, you're stupid or something like that, then that causes a divide. I'm not saying leave your partner over that, but
no, but that would have to be something that is seriously talked about in a relationship, I think. Because to be honest with you, guys that I've dated prior to Isaac would probably have that. I remember there's one guy I dated, and I was literally walking down the road, and we were walking somewhere because where I lived, we could like walk.
Are we talking about exes now?
No, just this one. Anyways, and I remember I had a really, really bad feeling, and I said, you know what? I'm not going this way. I'm going the other way. And he was like, he wasn't the greatest. Let's just say that. He was calling me all sorts of names, that I was chicken, all of that stuff. And I was like, I'm going with my intuition. I'm going, and me and a friend went the other way. And sure enough, there was a girl that was on some sort of drugs, just wielding a knife. And it would have been in the same direction that we were at. And so I'm glad. But he was very much not into that. And so he used to tell me, like, I remember I used to tell him stories, and he used to like totally belittle me. And say, like, basically I was crazy. And I know what that feels like. So I could just imagine to people out there, they feel like that. So it's something, I think, like, if it's something that you know is like a prevalent thing, like obviously a negative attachment that's like a one and done deal, then that's something different. Or if you know, you truly want to shut your abilities off for good, like even though I personally don't believe there's, if you have abilities, you have abilities. You can't really shut it off, I think. I mean, you can protect yourself and shield yourself, but it's still always going to be there. Anyways, but yeah, if you don't have a supportive partner, it's hard to whatever, you know. I think I just went around
trail
in a loop.
Off.
Yeah, I just went around in a loop. Sorry. I started going somewhere. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, 10 years later, we have a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, who's already shown psychic abilities of his own.
Yep.
Yeah. Most likely our future children as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, who knows? In 10 years, if we're still doing this podcast, what our children most likely be doing there as well. And who knows? Killian will be 17.
Oh, snap.
And probably 6'5".
Yeah,
for some weird reason.
Huge kid.
Yeah, and then he was able to blast doors open with his psychic abilities. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that kind of wraps us up here.
Yeah, we wanted this episode just to kind of get to know us better, have more of a free flow episode, because we haven't really had those in a while. A lot of past recent episodes. Oh my gosh, the most recent.
Recent.
Say, I can't even say it. The past episodes have been more like research and stuff like that. So you haven't really gotten to hear us tell like experience stories and stuff like that. We haven't really done that in a while. So we thought this would be good, and a recap about like us.
Oh, I was going to say, who knows where we're going to be another 10 years from now.
I know.
Because 3 years since so far we've been doing now with our paranormal team and the cases we've been taking on and stuff like that is just tip of the iceberg to what is going to be the future. So
Yeah.
when we have another 10-year anniversary episode.
Oh my God, because you're out of people that have been listening for 20 years. Because that's the thing. That's the thing. I think we're always going to keep this podcast regardless, because even if we took on a full-time, like, investigating, like, we consistently investigated and traveled and all that stuff, I mean, we would get on here and talk just mainly haunted updates with you guys.
Yeah, and maybe have interviews with other people.
Yeah.
Discussions and stuff with paranormal stuff.
Yeah, so...
Who knows what the podcast will look like in you.
Yeah. So even if we have one listener, we're going to stick around for you guys to the very end.
Yeah.
I feel like Jose is going to be a 20-year listener. Right, Jose? If you're listening, 20-year listener. Mike, too, probably 20-year listener.
Who knows? He might be with us.
Yeah. He probably heard that. I was like, you best friends forever.
All right.
He's probably laughing if he's listening to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look forward to next episode, Alaskan Triangle Part 2. You haven't listened to Part 1. It's out there right now. So if you listen to this... Oh, yeah. One last thing before I forget. If you listen to this episode now, most
Which
likely...
would be Thursday.
Yes. We're doing a live this evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So wherever you are in your time zone. And we basically just maybe discussing Alaskan Triangle, maybe discussing paranormal stuff that happened to us that we didn't get to in this episode, relationship-wise stuff, but maybe just talking to you, answering any question you guys might have about us. So, because we're going to do nothing else on our anniversary.
But spend time with you.
There's dogs howling in the background. Don't do that.
Because we're friends.
Stop it.
And listeners.
Anyway. So, God dang it. You got me all flustered.
This is what Isaac's life is like. This is 10 years of random jingles.
Oh, no one's even seen your true dorkiness, all right? You got any weirder that comes out of the side inside the door doing a crab walk and side head turning, we're doing weird voices.
Wait, because
you think I'm weird?
No, because we had talked about this. This is kind of like a little tidbit.
To close the episode.
I know this is a little tidbit though. We had talked about one of the things that we're going to be doing is when we actually start like investigating and having actual episodes out, we're going to also pair them with vlogs. So hopefully you guys get to see like our personalities more, because I do weird things, I guess.
And you hear my flatulence.
Oh my God, this guy farts. You guys don't know what I do for you guys to get these episodes out, because he sits there and it's literally like a green cloud comes up under the table, punches me sock right in the nose. I don't know where sock right came. See, we should just... Anyways, yeah.
So look forward to doing our live later tonight, Alaskan Triangle Part 2, when it comes out. I'm not going to say when, because who the hell knows what happened. You might interrupt us before we get it out there. But always, you can catch our social media at Hidden in the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, Hidden in the Shadows Podcast 2 on TikTok, or Hidden in the Sha 6 on X. Or links to all our social media, and always you can listen to it at hiddenshadowspodcast.com. But as always, we'll catch your weirdos in the next one.
Yup.